Good day. Hi, everybody. This is Miss Janicki. I am at a meeting, and I thought it might be wise to get us started on our next story called Animal Cells and Life Processes. You all should have a copy of this. You can read along with me. We're going to take a look at the book. This is a nonfiction book, a lot different than some of our books that we've been reading this year. This is the title page. This is one of the text features that was talked about on the Edpuzzle activity you did before reading this. And here's the table of contents page. Very valuable. It'll tell you where chapters are starting and ending, chapter titles, and it'll be important to find information quickly. We're only going to read chapter 1. Page numbers are at the bottom, so I'm on page 4. You can read along with me. What is a cell? You cut your finger and a single drop of blood falls. You have just lost millions of cells. Cells are the basic units of all living things. From a blue whale down to one-celled protozoa, animals are made up of individual microscopic cells. Everything comes down to the basic unit of life, the cell. Like all other living things, we are nothing more than a bunch of cells. It is how those cells are arranged and what those cells do that make the difference between different plants and animals. Text feature here is our picture, and next to our picture is a caption telling us about the picture. This single drop of blood contains millions of cells. What do cells do? In every animal, old cells die and new cells form. Animal bodies are constantly at work. They replace worn-out cells, they make new cells, and every cell has a specific job. Cell work is responsible for all the life processes that keep animals alive and healthy. I'm on page 5. This is the subheading of this, one of the subheadings of this chapter. This author has decided to create questions for each subheading to keep us on track. How many cells? As animals grow, the number of cells in their bodies increase. The total number of cells in an animal is tremendous, more than anyone could count. Scientists estimate that adult humans have between 50 trillion and 100 trillion cells. A trillion is a million. An adult has many more cells than a small child. Scientist spotlight. So we have a text box here. Just an extra piece of information in a box. It's a text box. Scientist spotlight. Robert Hooke. Robert Hooke, 1635 to 1703, was one of England's greatest scientists. His natural curiosity led him to study everything from plants to rocks to stars to geology. He even studied the workings of mechanical toys and ships. His best-known contribution may have been his book Micrographia, that was written in 1665. In this book, Hooke drew accurate illustrations of organisms or living things that he saw through a microscope. Hooke described his view of thin slices of cork in Micrographia. The pores of it were not regular. These pores, or cells, were indeed the first microscopical pore I ever saw. Hooke had discovered plant cells and we have called these units cells since then. Here's a picture, and the caption next to it tells us what it is. Robert Hooke was the first scientist to use the word cell to mean the basic unit of life. His book, Micrographia, features this close-up image of a drone fly. Flip on over to page 6. This subtopic is called What Basic Concepts Explain Cells? Scientists who study cells know 3 truths about animals and plants. These facts make up a theory or idea about cells. Every living thing is made up of 1 or more cells. 2. The cell is the smallest unit of life. 3. All life can be traced to the growth and division of cells. It is difficult to think that you have much in common with a dandelion or a pine tree, but you do. Looking at human and plant cells shows us that we are not that different from plants. We have skin cells that form an outer layer around our bodies. Plants also have cells that form protective skin. Human and plant cells use food for energy, and they also produce waste. In order to grow, our cells reproduce or make a copy. To carry on a species, a group of living things of the same type, plants and animals create offspring. Here's another picture. This is its caption. This view through a microscope shows millions of cells. I'm on page 7. This is a text box, and it's about science tools, the compound microscope. In 1590, Dutch eyeglass maker Hans Janssen and his son Zacharias put together 2 magnifying lenses in a tube. They made the first compound microscope. This simple tool opened up the microscopic world to science. Today's microscopes work like the Janssen's microscope, but are much more powerful. They have an upper lens at the eyepiece and lenses below. The total magnification equals the power of the eyepiece lens, 10 times, multiplied by the power of the lower lens, which could be, for example, 4 times or 10 times or 40 times or 100 times. For example, using the 100 times lower lens and the 10 times eyepiece would magnify an object 1,000 times. This kind of power lets scientists see inside individual cells. Wow. So here's a picture, and here's a caption that explains it. Today's microscopes are powerful enough to see not just cells, but also the parts of cells. Wow. After this reading, the substitute should hand you a piece of paper that looks like this, and these are comprehension questions that go with what was just read for pages 3 through 7. So you are encouraged to use the book to answer these questions. There is a front and a back. Fantastic work. Keep up the good work. I will be back very soon.